All right, welcome in another edition of the Ryan and Goodman podcast. I'm Jeff Goodman. He is Bob Ryan, the myth, the legend, and another myth, another legend was fired, Bob. And I don't know if you were as shocked as I was. I didn't see this coming where Doc Rivers, we had on the podcast, you and I are both huge fans of Doc as a human being. As a coach, I don't know where I stand right now. Obviously, he has blown some big leads, the latest being one in the bubble, Denver, and with a team that, let's face it, Steve Ballmer paid Doc Rivers big money to win a championship, not be eliminated by the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference semifinals. So, valid or not valid to let Doc Rivers go?
I knew that. Well, we all knew that losing another 3-1 was not a good thing to have on anyone's resume. To do it twice in 3 years, and to do it with this owner, as you said, who has invested, he overpaid for the team. I think even by the modern standards that the teams are worth. He got a little giddy with his $2 billion plus purchase of the Clippers. The Lakers we could see, right, but not the Clippers. So okay, he's invested in this. And I worried about it, a little bit, but I didn't think it would happen. I thought it was a possibility if Steve Ballmer was angry. And I don't know, but I thought it was, and of course they're couching it. It's mutual, ha, ha, ha,
Yeah.
The usual.
Doc's going to walk away from that money?
It's the modern, thing to do. Say it's mutual. Naturally, I felt badly because, I am very proprietary to a Doc and I have communicated with him already. But it's understandable that an owner, a successful businessman, obviously as Ballmer is highly successful, with that investment, I don't know. What I don't know, Jeff, is the level of his own personal basketball acumen. I don't know how much he thinks he knows, if he knows more, thinks he doesn't, knows more than he knows. That part, I don't know,
So here's what I'll tell you, Bob. Here's what I'll tell you. I don't think this was all Steve Ballmer. My guess is Jerry West, who they pay a ton of money as a consultant.
Okay.
Right? As a consultant.
Yeah, right. Good point.
My guess is Jerry West played a significant role in this move. And now the question will be, what's next? And the big thing with Doc, listen, you and I know this. We've been around him enough. Great human being, great communicator, all that. But the biggest words that you would hear from players about Doc dating back to the Celtics was, it's a little bit of a country club, right? It's easy. Doc doesn't practice much. The older players, the veterans love him. Because again, it's where you want to go to in the latter part of your career to extend your career. And you wonder if that played a huge part here, because certainly the Clippers didn't look like they were in tip-top condition in the bubble, whether it was Doc's fault, whether it was the fact that Montrezl Harrell had a death in the family and didn't come into the bubble till late, whether it's the fact that Lou Williams left the bubble and came back, the Patrick Beverly stuff. There were a lot of issues involved, but ultimately it probably does fall on Doc in a sense that you had the pieces. Well, and you shouldn't be watching, if you're the Clippers, you can't be watching the Los Angeles Lakers right now compete for a title.
You had the pieces in theory, but you talked, the three guys you mentioned did not play up to standard, period. You got, I've come to be a big fan of Lou Williams and the stuff that he's done and his historic impact. Frankly, he's amazing what he's done coming off the bench. He holds all the records now, for sure, for 30-point games, 40-point games, all that stuff. But we didn't see that Lou Williams very often, and certainly not in that series. And Montrezl Harrell, who is the current sixth man of the year, did not have a great series either. And Beverly was in and out and all that. Yep. And then Paul George, we have to get to Paul George, underperformed. I won't go say woefully, but too much, underperformed.
He was inconsistent. Yeah, you never knew what you were going to get out of Paul George.
So there you go. Your 1-2 was supposed to be Kawhi and Paul George, but it was 1.5. It wasn't 1-2. 1 3/4 wasn't 1-2. Right. So I don't know, where all that, how any of that falls on Doc's direct responsibility to get more out of them. I don't know. But now 7 years, the cycles are now, that's maybe it's time, maybe Doc knows it. If it wasn't going to get done this year, it's not. When they need a new voice, maybe, I don't know. I do think we'll both be surprised if he's not working somewhere next year, since he has indicated immediately that he would like to continue coaching. He's 59. He's not done. There are some interesting jobs for sure, aren't there? Starting in New Orleans, if you think that Zion is going to be a long-lasting treasure, or there's always that possibility he's going to be a tease, based on the fact that 285 might be a little too much for those knee joints.
Terry.
By the way.
Yeah, and you wonder too. Listen, Doc does do his best work with veterans. We know that. New Orleans is a younger team that you got to get the most out of. Zion, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. The core of your team is young. Now, again, I think Doc's biggest strength is his ability to connect with people and figure out the buttons to push with those players. And again, did he do it right with this team this year? It's just such a unique situation. That's the hard part of firing somebody coming off, 3 months in the bubble, right?
Yeah, that's true. Everything, all sports, it's all bets are off in terms of making definitive pronouncements about things based on the fact that everything is so abnormal. And by the way, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning, the first ones to get it done in this new world. And now they can go home. They
can celebrate. Celebrate with your family.
So congratulations. But whether it's going to be the Heat or the Lakers, they're going to have earned it. It's going to be different. Neither one
for Doc. That if Chicago had waited, could Doc have gone back home to the Bulls, who obviously hired Billy Donovan? You wonder.
They got a good coach, though.
Right. Agreed.
Let's face it. The X Factor team that you wonder who really wants it, who can handle it, what they're going to do with it, is Philly.
Yes.
Because they're so strange. They're so oriented toward the two, young stars who are intriguingly, I don't know what, charmingly flawed in their own way, this is talented as they are, and how you're going to work around them or you're not going to work around them, which that's an interesting job. And of course, New Orleans, because of Zion and the young talent beyond him that's there. Interesting. Also, one of the ramifications of all this, of course, one less black coach for the time being, although we assume Doc will get hired. And will one of the vacancies still go? Doc is openly campaigning for Sam Cassell to get a job somewhere. I guess he figures Ty Lue doesn't need an endorsement from anybody. I mean, people should know not.
Ty Lue's going to get a job. Ty Lue's going to probably get something. Now, the two names that I've heard for the Clippers, more than anything, and I tweeted it yesterday right after the news broke, moments after, I said, I will not be shocked at all if Jeff Van Gundy is the next coach for the Clippers.
I wouldn't. I've been waiting. We've been waiting. It's about how many years now? 12 years, I think. 07, I think, is when he entered the booth after he left the Rockets.
Been a long time.
And he proved, he kept his chops alive with that wonderful job he did with that USA team. The national team.
Where you can name everybody. You can name that whole roster, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Backwards and forwards. Are you kidding? He proved he could still coach. There's no question about it. I've been kidding for years, though. I don't want him to go back because he serves a higher good for more people by doing what he does with the broadcast and his wonderful manner. I think he's terrific, as opposed to just serving one's constituency with one team.